the significant findings I meticulously obtained from my extensive doctoral studies in Latvia. We will discuss language, culture, and the right to resistance. Concepts not only determine the identity of individuals or societies, at the same time, it also shapes humanity's collective memory, way of thinking, and creativity. Think about it. When a language disappears, it's not just words that are lost. At the same time, the historical mission carried by that language also vanishes. Historical myths, knowledge, beliefs, and worldviews are also lost. Each language represents the way a community perceives its environment, nature, time, and social relationships. For example, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis states that the way people perceive the world also shapes their culture. It shows that people's way of perceiving the world is influenced by this. And it is precisely at this point that the right to resist comes into play. A society has the legitimate right to resist in order to protect its language and culture. This resistance can be achieved not only through economic struggle, but also through political and personal struggles. In terms of preserving social identity and cultural memory, the efforts in Latvia have served as excellent examples of this. It is extremely valuable and precious for societies and cultures to protect their languages and to document this through daily struggles. Language is not just a means of communication. It is a way of thinking. It is a way of perceiving thought. To learn and use a language also means for the language to recognize the world. Wilhelm Humboldt argued that language shapes thought and that each language represents a different world. Wittgenstein, by saying the limits of my language mean the limits of my world, demonstrates how broad and valuable a phenomenon language is. At this point, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis holds critical importance. Edward Sapir and Benjamin Lee Whorf. They argued that language not only expresses thought, but also structures it. For example, the Inuit people use dozens of words for snow. This stems from their way of perceiving nature and their environment. In my field studies, I evaluated similar observations based on my research on small communities. By using their own language in daily life and communicating within their own frameworks and with each other, they have regarded language not only as a means of communication but also as an element that transmits social and cultural values. For example, the way a local word is used reflects clues about the society's history, traditions, and values. At the same time, language also shapes creativity and critical thinking. There is an important point here. What is meant by critical thinking here is more about the way of perceiving rather than brainstorming. People structure their thoughts, discuss their ideas, and generate new understandings through language. If a language disappears, that community is doomed to disappear as well. In fact, therefore, understanding the relationship between language and culture and embracing the resistance formed by society is also very valuable and important. The preservation of a language is not just about the words in the dictionary or the jargon used only. People's efforts are also extremely important. They play a crucial role here. At this point, the right to resist becomes important. Societies that prioritize collective memory, a sense of identity, and an understanding of education engage in a conscious or unconscious struggle to protect their culture and identity. Resistance is not only a political act but also encompasses social resistance. In summary, the relationship between culture and social identity necessitates the exercise of the right to resist. A community must resist in order to protect its own identity and culture. Otherwise, the values created throughout history will fade and social memory will be lost. Finally, it is worth mentioning this. Lastly, I would like to emphasize this. Language, culture, and the right to resist are concepts that nourish each other and coexist. These three fundamental elements are among the most critical factors that shape humanity's identity and creativity. As academics, educators, and other members of society, we have the responsibility to prioritize education in order to protect, preserve, and pass on these values to future generations. That's all for my presentation for now. I am ready to listen to any questions from friends. I wish you a good evening.